Hello, my name is Katie Kramer, and I currently serve as the Youth and Violence Prevention Program Manager at the Minnesota Coalition for Battered Women. I'm going to talk to you all today about some special confidentiality rules that apply when you are serving survivors who are under the age of 18 or considered a vulnerable adult. So first, let's discuss consent to release information. As you learned last week, a survivor can provide consent to release information to someone outside of your program if it is informed, written, and reasonably time limited. Survivors who are under the age of 18 or considered a vulnerable adult may also consent to release their information, but the rules are slightly different for these survivors. So in these situations, you must get written consent of both the individual survivor and the survivor's parent or legally appointed guardian. You may only share the survivor's information if you have consent from both individuals. Just the consent of a parent or guardian is not enough. Also, an abusive parent or guardian may not provide consent to release the survivor's information. There is one exception to this rule. If the under 18 survivor or vulnerable adult survivor was able to access services at your program on their own without the permission of an adult or legally appointed guardian, then the survivor may provide consent to release information on their own, just like any other survivor. Minnesota law does not say whether or not vulnerable adults or minors are able to access domestic violence services on their own. So because of this, many programs do provide services to unaccompanied minors and vulnerable adults without the consent of a parent or guardian, but there are those programs that do not. Some programs make the determination of whether or not to provide services depending on how the program came to know the survivor. So for example, if a minor was dropped off by law enforcement, a program might be less likely to provide services without parental or guardian consent. However, if the minor showed up at their program on their own, they might be more likely to provide services. So it's really up to individual programs to determine whether or not they want to serve unaccompanied minors or vulnerable adults. So what we recommend is that you talk with your supervisor and determine what your program's policies are and make sure that you follow that policy. So next, let's discuss what you need to do if you work in a shelter and provide shelter to an unaccompanied minor. Do you need to notify the parent or legally appointed guardian? Under Minnesota law, you must notify the parent or guardian unless you believe that there are compelling reasons not to do so. So some examples of compelling reasons can be if the minor's been exposed to violence in the home, if the minor is a victim of abuse at the hands of a parent or guardian, or contacting the minor survivor's parent or guardian could put them in further danger. If you do need to tell the survivor's parent or guardian where they are, make sure that you talk to the survivor before making that call. Make sure that you talk to them about their concerns and that you involve them in the process as much as possible. So those are the major things that you need to learn about serving minors and vulnerable adults. Remember, when working with minors, the mandatory reporting rules that you learned about last week will still apply. Now, please go complete the multiple choice questions on working with minors and vulnerable adults. Thanks so much for watching.